Okay, so we've helped the actors identify some objectives, and we've tried a couple of different objectives out and adjusted them to see what really gets them cooking. Now, it's really important to keep in mind that there is no right or wrong when it comes to the articulation of an objective. So if an actor suggests an objective that seems to you way out in left field, don't waste any time arguing with the actor about that objective. Just let them try it. One of two things will happen. Either it won't work, but it won't work in such a way that it's very plain to everyone, including the actor. They will feel it not work, and they will be happy to seek your help in finding an objective that will be more effective. Or it will work, and what's happening is there's something about their use of words and phrasing the objective that doesn't make sense to you, but when they pursue that objective, it's producing results that are perfectly reasonable and you're perfectly happy with. So either way, there's no need to have a discussion. Just try it. It'll either work in ways that are surprising, or you'll all know that it doesn't work, and together you will find a new objective. Now, inexperienced actors, when they're playing their objectives, will sometimes be tempted to force emotions out of themselves, or to find what they think might be natural or interesting ways to say their lines, rather than always using those lines to try and get desired response from the other character and fulfill their objective. So to get them out of this habit, have them each boil their part down to a single statement of their objective that they can use in an exercise called two-line scene. Let's go to a demo of that exercise right now. Okay, so the two-line scene is an exercise that takes everything about the craft and the demands of acting in a scene and boils it down into really its essence. So what we've done is I've given both of these actors one line and one line only that can stand in for all of their lines and really crystallizes their objective in the scene. So I've given Raluca the line, "I need you to help me with this." And I've given Kathy the line, "I need you to look after yourself." They're now going to just do an improvisation where that's the only line that they can use. And they need to commit to trying to get what they want from the other person with just that line. And they're going to repeat that line. Now, there are some obvious traps that the actors can fall into. They could do it and then just sort of reset. I say my line, you say my line, didn't work, reset, right? But we want to let it flow. If it needs to escalate, it's going to escalate. They're just going to follow whatever waves of emotion. Remember the notion of the boat floating on the waves of the river. It's just going to go wherever it goes. They have to believe that they can win each time they say the line. Even if your character knows they're not going to win, you have to commit to trying to win each time you say the line. And don't worry about taking turns. As it starts to heat up, if you need to interrupt the other person, interrupt the other person. None of this has to be appropriate, quote unquote, to the way the scene ends up being played in terms of tone, volume, anything. This is just to explore what it's like in a very raw sense to just totally connect to the objective. Any questions? Any questions? Okay, I'm going to coach from off stage. Let's try it. And then at a certain point, I'm going to ask them to grab their scripts and go right into the scene, taking whatever energy they've found and whatever emotional states they've connected to, and that sense of deep intentionality right into reading the scene. You'll hear it come off the page in a new way. Okay, standing by, and action.
I need you to help me with this.
I need you to look after yourself.
I need you to help me with this.
I hear that, but I need you to look after yourself.
But I really need you to help me with this.
And I need you to look after yourself.
I need you to help me with this.
I need you to look after yourself.
And if you're getting frustrated with this, let it be in the lines. Let it be there. Just keep going. You're doing great.
But I just really need you to help me with this. Simple.
I need you to look after yourself.
Okay. I need you to help me with the situation.
I need you to look after yourself. You to look after yourself.
Okay, good. And if you want to speak before the other person's finished, let it happen. Don't feel you got to take turns.
Look after yourself.
I need you to help me with this.
You.
No. No.
And stick to the lines, just
you,
those lines.
I need you to look after yourself. I need you to look after yourself.
I need you to help me with this.
I need you to look after yourself.
Okay, and get what you want right now.
I need you to look after yourself.
I need you to help me with this.
I need you
No,
to look
I
after.
need- no,
I
I-
need you
I-
to look after yourself.
I need you to help me with
to look
this.
after yourself.
Okay, grab your scripts and go into the scene. Bring all that energy right from where you were.
Hi, Robin. Robin, do you have a minute to chat?
Oh, hi, Kelly. I guess it's been such a busy morning for me. I haven't even had time to get a coffee yet.
Sorry, I promise it won't take long.
Are you still having problems taking blood pressure?
Well, no, I mean, yes, I am, but it went better this morning. But that's not the issue.
What is the issue then?
I'm having some problems with my primary nurse.
Oh, what did you do?
I don't think I did anything. She's been really dismissive all day and made a lot of negative comments about my nursing care. She's also ignored me whenever I ask for help or advice.
Well, nurses often have valid reasons for giving criticism. Is there anything you can think of that you can work on?
No, not that I can think of. I've really followed all protocols and policies and haven't gone beyond my scope. I was just hoping I could get some support from you.
Have you tried speaking with her yourself?
I've tried to engage her, but she keeps ignoring me, and I'm a bit nervous to be confrontational.
We are really lucky to have this placement, and I'm just trying to keep the peace. The nurses are already sometimes frustrated with the level of scope.
Are you sure you can't talk to her?
I won't be able to do anything until you've tried to sort this out yourself. If you haven't noticed, I've got a lot on my plate managing a whole pile of students, so now I have to watch other students give 2 o'clock meds. Just try to do your work, get it done, and try not to frustrate her anymore.
Okay, and that's the scene. Very good, very good. All right, so what was that like for you, doing the exercise and then taking it into the scene, Raluca?
I mean, initially I was quite amused. It was very hard for me to get confrontational. I think at one point I felt like I could really sense the negativity and I wanted to get in that space. But then as soon as Kathy, I guess playing Robin, kept coming closer to me, it stirred my humor, which, it made me kind of question the seriosity of the scene and that trying to get back into that space. So it was like it was a constant like toss and turn between wanting to be that person with that negative space, but then stepping out.
Okay, and what was it like for you?
I found it very frustrating, and I just let myself get into it and feel it, experience it and show it. And I thought she just needs to listen to me and do what I'm saying. Like, I'm the clinical instructor.
Yeah.
Okay, enough. I need you to. So I really felt emotion.
Right, and did that carry through once you picked up the script?
It carried through, but not to the same extent,
Right.
not to the same
Right.
degree.
Which is very natural, right? Because now you've got this thing in between you and the purely improvisational part of this. But we heard the words, I really heard the words come off the page. Like, you were so authoritative. And there was a naturalness to what was coming out of you and a natural authority, and there was no sense of you having to find the next words. They were all so motivated, yeah? And could you feel that coming at you? And then I felt every time you got slammed by what a freight train you had coming at you, I could feel it stopping you in your tracks each time. So you found this very natural rhythm to the scene. So that's what we can do with just the second reading. They'd only read that scene once, and this is the second reading. You can see it's already on its feet, and it's already starting to cook with both of you. So this exercise is incredibly powerful. It feels kind of awkward and strange at first, but if people are willing to get into it and give it a try, and you can coach from the side as I've done, you see that it gets them really, really plugged into their objectives really quickly, and then the rhythm and the tone and all of those other things start to take care of themselves. Okay, so you've got the actors now really committed to their objectives and playing them fully. But often the key to making the difference between a scene that sounds like 2 people reading lines and a scene that sounds like real people talking is to ensure that the actors are in a continuous flow of thought even when they are not talking. And the best antidote to the problem of that kind of reading sort of feeling as opposed to real human interaction is an exercise called Listen Out Loud. Here's a demo of that exercise now. Okay, so this exercise, listen out loud, is exactly what it sounds like. It's similar to stop and think, which you will also see here, but the instructions are quite simple, but then once it starts, it's going to be a little disorienting. But this is to help you find the continuity of your character's thoughts and the flow, because often what happens, particularly with inexperienced actors, is that we act when we're speaking, and then whether we realize it or not, we kind of go to sleep. And then suddenly we're acting again, and then we're asleep. I always think of it like a tennis player. A tennis player has to keep their feet moving. They hit the ball back over the net, and if they stand still, then they're caught flat-footed when the ball comes over. They need to keep their feet moving. So this is the sort of the mental equivalent of keeping your feet moving. So the instructions are, when the other person says their line, your job is to repeat their line as you hear it. Not by reading it off the page, but as you hear it. And to repeat it and let the tonality of how you're repeating it reflect how you're receiving the line. So if I said to you, this is just acting, of course, if I said, okay, now I want you to repeat after me, okay? Hey, Kathy, you idiot. Okay, so repeat after me while I'm speaking it. Hey, Kathy, you idiot.
Hey, Kathy, you idiot.
So why did you park out in my spot?
Why did I park in your spot?
Okay, now respond in whatever way you want to respond.
It's not your spot.
It's not my spot? Oh, I think it is.
Oh, no way. It's my spot.
Okay.
If we're talking about spots.
Oh, so if we're talking about spot, okay, so you want to be repeating, and then without any pause, you want to go from the repetition and then pull your next line off the page. So your line is an extension of the repetition. Okay. So you're processing what's landing on you with each line, and then it's coming right out into your next line, right? Okay. Does this make sense? Mm-hmm. It's tricky, and a couple of traps. Don't wait until the end of the person's line. Just start repeating whatever you've heard. And so it means you'll be talking over top of each other. Okay. We'll do that for a little while, and then we'll see what happens, okay? And I'm going to coach from the side as well. I might say, don't wait for the other person, or don't get ahead. Because the other thing this does is it makes you actually listen at the genuine speed of human thought. You can't get ahead of it, and you can't be too far behind it, right? Because one of the things, when a scene's not working, audiences don't necessarily know this is what it is, but it's usually because the audience is getting ahead of the actors, because the actors are taking too much time. You hear the line, then you think about the line, and then you respond to the line. But that's not what we do in real life. We are in response as we're hearing it. And this exercise is designed to sort of take us there. Okay? Here we go. Standing by, and action.
Hi, Robin. Do you have a minute to chat?
Do I have a minute to chat? Well, it's really been very busy, and I have a lot on my plate.
It's been very busy, and you have a lot on your plate.
Are you still having problems taking a blood pressure?
Am I still having problems taking the blood pressure? No, I mean, I am, but it went better this morning.
You're doing great. Now try and repeat while the other person's talking.
Yeah, it's okay.
Good.
Sorry, I'm just
you're
getting the
doing
hang of it.
Yeah.
It went better this morning, but what is the issue? That's not the issue. What is the issue?
The issue, I'm having some problems with my primary nurse.
You're having problems with your primary nurse? What did you do?
What did I do? I don't think I did anything. She's been really dismissive all day.
Try and repeat while you're hearing it.
And made a lot of negative comments
She's
about
been
my
dismissive
nursing care.
all day and making negative comments about your behaviour?
She's been dismissive all day, yeah.
Dismissive all day. All day.
Yeah, she's also ignored me whenever I ask for help or
Ignore
advice.
you when you ask for help. Well, nurses often have a reason for giving criticism. It's valid.
Nurses have a reason
What
for
if you
giving
do?
criticism.
Nurses, yeah.
Like, no, not that I can think of. I mean, I've really followed all the rules and
You
protocols.
followed all the rules and protocols?
You haven't gone beyond my scope.
You haven't gone beyond your scope?
No, like I was just hoping that I could get some support from you.
You hope to get support from me. Have you tried speaking with her yourself?
Have I tried speaking with her myself? I've tried to engage her, but she ignores me. And I'm a bit nervous to be confrontational.
You're nervous to be confrontational? We're really lucky to have this placement. I'm trying to keep the peace.
I'm trying to
Nurses
keep the peace.
Are already frustrated with how limited your
Nurses
scope
are already
is.
frustrated with how limited my scope is. Are you sure you can speak with her?
Sorry, I lost my train there. Am I sure I can't speak with her? I won't be able to do anything until you've tried to sort it out yourself.
Sort
You
it
haven't
out
noticed I've got a
myself.
lot on my plate managing 11 or 7 novice nurses. So now I
Managing
have to watch
7?
other students give 2 o'clock meds. Just
Watching-
try to do your work and try not to
do my
frustrate
work.
her anymore.
Try to not frustrate her anymore.
Okay, great. Great. Now, let's do the scene again right away. You don't have to redo the repetition out loud, but try and do it in your head, okay? Off you go. Standing by and action.
Hi, Robin. Do you have a minute to chat?
Oh, hi, Kelly. I guess it's been a busy morning for me watching students give meds. I haven't even had a chance to have my coffee.
Sorry, I promise it won't take long.
Are you still having problems taking a blood pressure?
No, I mean, yes, I am. Well, it went better this morning, but that's not the issue.
What is the issue then?
I'm having some problems with my primary nurse.
Oh, what did you do?
I don't think I did anything. She's been really dismissive of me all day, made a lot of negative comments about my nursing care, and she's also ignored me whenever I ask for help or advice.
Well, nurses often have a reason for giving criticism. Can you think of anything that you need to work on?
No, not that I can think of. I've followed all the rules and protocols, haven't gone outside my scope. I was really just hoping I could get some support.
Have you tried speaking with her yourself?
I've tried to engage with her, but she ignores me, and I'm a bit nervous to be confrontational.
We are really lucky to have this placement, and I'm trying to keep the peace. The nurses are already frustrated with the level of scope that you bring.
Are you sure you can't speak with her at all?
I won't be able to do anything until you try talking to her yourself first. If you haven't noticed, I've got a lot on my plate. I have all these novice nurses, so now I have to watch others give their 2 o'clock meds. I need you to just try to do your work and try not to frustrate her anymore.
All right, scene. Very nice. Very good. Okay, so what was that like? I know it's a very tricky exercise, but what did you discover in doing it? And it doesn't have to be perfect for it to bring the kind of interesting results. So what was it like for you?
The first take, like with repeating the lines, was awkward at first, but then like I felt like I was able to really get into her lines, and then that gave me even more like oomph to kind of like want to say my lines even more with like more anger and more frustration. And then the second part felt like I felt definitely the flow into the scene itself.
Right, great.
I mean, I feel like the emotion has transcended from our first exercise to this one. It's a bit more like you feel more into your character.
Right, great. Yeah, and how about for you?
It was awkward, because we've never tried it before, so it was brand new. So that definitely made it hard. And I found, because I had to go right into my own lines, that I was sort of trying to keep ahead of that as well. But when the two went together, it flowed very well. So I think it was really helpful in that I would say out loud what Raluca had said. And then I would kind of put a tone to that that then fit in with what I wanted to respond.
Yeah.
So in that way, I found it very useful.
Yeah. And so then the actors are not stuck sort of waiting for each other, and you can feel the difference, right? It's a palpable difference when both actors are never stop thinking versus I sort of turn on to say my line and then I kind of go neutral, right? You're alive. You're both at any moment. We look at you and we see that there's a living person thinking their way through this. And then, as you say, there's a naturalness. The emotions come to the surface more easily, and there's a continuity between what you're thinking while they're talking and then what comes out of your mouth as a response. It's what Stanislavski used to call the unbroken line, not just the unbroken line of physical action, which he talked about, but an unbroken line of mental action as well. So it doesn't feel like it's this flow that just goes back and forth, back and forth. So really well done, thank you. So that is Listen Out Loud. Okay, so again, part of your job as a director and working with the actors together, you want to make these turning points visible. So as a follow-up to Stop and Think, sometimes you can have the actors move through the scene and identify every point where they make a decision by saying out what their character is doing and also some of the most significant things that they are not doing. For example, I'm ignoring that insult and not asking B what they meant or telling them that it was inappropriate or hurtful. Let's look at a little demo of that now.
So technically this exercise is called fixing the not but, which is a strange name for an exercise that, kind of like some of the others, can feel quite strange. And it comes from the work of Bertolt Brecht, the great German dramatist and director. And he was always more interested in the audience being able to understand and analyze what was going on between characters than he was interested in the audience being swept up in the emotion. He wanted the audience to be able to see things from a very analytical point of view, and in a sense be able to observe the kind of chess match that goes on between characters. And so he had this seemingly strange idea that anytime an actor's character did something, we should be able to see what they do, but in some sense we should be able to see all the things they don't do when they do that one thing. Very esoteric sort of notion, but we're going to try a bit of this exercise, and it can really pay off, particularly as I've mentioned, in service of making sure that turning points and decision points where audience members might intervene become much more clear. So, okay, here's the newest set of strange instructions I'm going to throw you into the deep end with here. So, you're going to say a line of dialogue, and then you're going to say, just off the top of your head, what you did, like with that. So for instance, the first line is, "Hi, Robin, do you have a minute to chat?" So before you say that line, actually, before you say the line, you're going to say, "I introduce myself," rather than not saying anything. And then you say the line, "Hi, Robin, do you have a minute to chat?" Robin, "Oh, hi, Kelly. I guess I acknowledge that she's here rather than ignore her. It's been a busy morning for me watching students give oral medications. I haven't had the chance to grab a coffee." And then sort of, sometimes it comes before the line, sometimes you'll find it after the line in terms of what are you doing versus what are you not doing, right? So for that line, I would say, I'm trying to discourage her rather than saying, "Oh no, I've got all the time in the world
Okay.
for you."
Okay, so you're speaking aloud what you're kind of thinking.
Well, yeah, and it's, what it's trying to do is to make these things conscious choices for the
Okay,
character.
okay.
Right? It's, like I say, it's strange. We'll see where it takes us, but
Okay.
it can help us find the fine detail in terms of where those
Is
twists and
this
turns
similar
are.
to the secret thought in a way? Somewhat.
Somewhat, but it's really about just all the things you didn't do.
Right.
Because Brecht was trying to interrupt what seemed like natural, like what we call the natural flow of things. Well, of course, that's what she said. But everything's got a choice, right? Brecht would say even the firing squad person who pulls the trigger when the sergeant says fire has a choice in that moment. So that actor would say, "I fire the trigger," rather than ignoring my captain's order, right? So let's just see where
And
we
do you
get.
keep looking at each other when
Yeah,
you
you
say
keep
that?
trying, and so you'll feel sort of half in the scene and half out. It's a very intellectual exercise.
Okay.
So don't worry if you're falling out of the scene to figure it out, but we'll try it. We won't get through the whole scene this way, but we'll just sort of play with it.
Okay.
Okay? When you're ready.
So I'm approaching Robin, my clinical instructor, and I'm hoping that she has time for me. "Hi, Robin, do you have a minute to chat?"
I'm just so busy here, so distracted. I don't think she can see that at all.
And so what do you do and what do you not do?
I say, "Oh, hi, Kelly. I guess it's been a busy morning for me, so I guess I have a minute." I haven't even had a chance to have a coffee. Sorry, I lost my train there.
good.
Oh, that must be hard. I'm thinking that it's difficult for her to not have even caught up with the coffee, but my need is important, so I keep pressing. "Sorry, I promise it won't take long."
Okay, great. That's great. So what did you choose to do in that moment versus what you chose not to do? So she just said, "I haven't even had time to have my coffee." And what do you do?
I dismiss her need because mine is more important than hers.
Okay, great. So that's exactly the kind of discovery that we're looking for, right? So the kind of verbalizing you're doing before that was similar to what we do in Stop and Think, but then you want to get to that decision
Right.
that's a perfect example of where someone could intervene, right? She says, "I haven't even had my morning coffee." She gives you all these hints that actually she doesn't really want to talk now. And in that moment, I don't take the hint. I keep pressing my need, right? Good. Let's just go just a little further, see what else we can discover. Take it from, are you still having problems taking a blood pressure?
Are you still having problems taking a blood pressure? I wonder if that's the issue. It's been going on for ages.
And what are you doing versus what are you not doing?
I'm focusing on the blood pressure rather than being a little bit more open.
Ah, great, great. So you're going right after the blood pressure, yeah.
I'm thinking before I even answer that, I wish that she wasn't so stuck on the blood pressure, that, it's not all about the blood pressure, but nonetheless, no, I mean, yes, I am, but it went better this morning, but that's not the issue.
Okay, great. So this is really key. So what are you doing versus what are you not doing? We just saw in the previous scene that you were struggling with the blood pressure. So what do you do with this line versus what you don't do?
Well, I kind of contradict myself that it's a yes-no situation, but, I offer space for something else. Like, I don't let her think that it's the blood pressure. I bring her a new kind of nuance to what's going on with me.
Right. And so someone says, are you still having that blood pressure? I don't answer that question directly and say, yes, I actually am still struggling. I try to keep us on another track, which is that I don't like the way she's talking to me, right? Again, that opens up a space for another intervention point where someone could say, stop and come in, replace your character and go, actually, yes, I really am having trouble, and then take the scene in a new direction. So it can be a slow and sometimes painstaking process, and that you see the way the director's involved in it, but we work our way through the scene a line at a time and figure out what is being chosen and what is not being chosen in the behavior of the characters, and that it deepens your relationship to the character's thoughts, and also starts to open up these cracks and little turning points where an audience might make a different choice, and you're going to do something subtly different with your acting as a result of this exercise that's going to make that, as a moment of choice, just a little more visible to the audience, so they see a moment where actually they could jump in and go left instead of right. Great. So that is fixing the not but.
Okay, so now we want to summarize some more really key things about the Form Theatre actor's job, because it's a very specific job that is not exactly the same as the job of an actor in a typical play. There's some overlap, but there's some very specific demands to Forum Theatre. So the essential core of the Forum Theatre actor's job is to make it neither too hard or too easy for their behavior to be influenced and changed by an intervening audience member, and I mentioned this already. Because if we invite people to come on stage with the intent of changing something that actually can't be changed, then all we've done, as my mentor David Diamond always used to say, all we've done is play a cruel joke on them. It is impossible to overstate the importance of this idea. Now, at the same time, if we give in to our own personal desire to be nice, because we're comfortable playing this character, rather than holding firm to our character's objective, and we give in too easily, we're not helping the learner to develop the muscles of courage and clarity that they really need to serve them in the real world when they need to flex those muscles. So, one thing that can really be helpful in finding this place of flexibility is something that we call the third being, and this comes from the great pioneer of acting methodology, Konstantin Stanislavski. So, actors should not think of playing a character, but rather should try and find those places where the character's needs overlap with things they've experienced themselves in their real lives. For instance, if you were playing the duty nurse, you may never have behaved that way in a similar situation, but chances are there's been a moment in your life when you have felt tired, overwhelmed, and overworked, and that you just wanted someone to make things easier for you, not give you more to do. So that is what you want to tap into. So then, rather than thinking of who is the actor and who is the character, and getting to this place of saying, oh, my character wouldn't do that, so that's why I didn't do it, try and find that place where they overlap. That the great acting teacher Konstantin Stanislavski called the third being. The body, mind, and thoughts are yours, and the circumstances are the characters, and they come together in this state we call the third being. What I would call the last key ingredient in making sure that we deal really well with this important demand of the Forum Theatre actor's job, that they be in this place where it's not too easy and not too hard for their behavior to be changed and shifted by an intervening audience member, is to what I like to call opening the window. So by the window, what I mean is that space through which the character can be reached and have their behavior changed. And along the lines of it not being hard or too easy, this window should neither be too big nor too small. The most efficient way of keeping this window open is to identify other things that the character wants to control besides the main objective. For instance, is it important, say to the duty nurse, that their peers and coworkers view them as a competent professional, as ethical, as sufficiently concerned with patient care? If you're playing the duty nurse and your objective is to have the student agree to leave you alone, and at the same time you also want to control any of these other elements, then chances are there will be ways that an intervening audience member will be able to influence your behavior without magically turning your character into a nicer person or getting you to drop your objective too easily. So guiding the actors to identify at least one other thing that matters to them, and possibly multiple if you can get there and if you feel your actors can handle it, that's a really, really good way to make sure that the window is a sufficient size for the audience to learn what they need to learn and not run into these insoluble roadblocks or have a interaction that's just too easy.